Hey guys, what it is yo girl Cadillac. Hi, I am Cadillac Dixon. I am the Draw My Life prison wife. I am the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, and I am hoping to see justice before it all fades to black. Here, here's your girl Cadillac. So to guys. Today, guys, I am here to do like after a 9 hour shift. Girl, I'm tired. Yo, girl is tired. I got a headache. I done took me at least 4 Excedrin and a headache and going away. I got to work in the morning, but girl, I had to come through to give you this video. This video really touched my heart. When I was driving home, I was really about to do a light field video, and it was basically gonna compare me. I am a prison wife and have been one for 20 years. My husband is wrongfully convicted and housed in the state of Florida. So he's been taken from me and now he's state property. And not just me, from his family wrongfully. So I was gonna do a video about being a prison wife in 2001 when I started being a prison wife. Well, officially 2002 when that prison journey started, but through 2001 he was in county jail and all of that stuff and on house arrest. I wanted to compare prison wife life back then to prison wife life 20 years later in 2021 and explain all the differences of how it was then and how it is now. But I'm going to get to that video. But this video, as I was on my way home, like I'm seeing all these posts on Facebook about Strickland being exonerated. Oh my gosh. When I heard his story, girl, that touched my heart because that man had been in prison over 40 years. At 40 years, as you know, my husband is wrongfully convicted and excessively sentenced, and he has a 40-year sentence. And it's not until you see somebody that has more time, like I cannot imagine, it is bothering my soul that my husband may have to do that 40 years. Like most likely it's looking like he has to do that 40 years because I have been fighting for him for 20 years and I am growing weary. I'm growing weak. I have spent my life fighting. And if anything ever happens to me, the fight ends with me. Nobody else is fighting for my husband. Nobody else has fought for him. So when I'm gone, the fight for him is gone. So I so much want to see him free, like if it's the last thing I do on this earth. And also, I am going blind and losing my eyesight. So before I lose my eyesight, I would love to see with my eyes my husband come home. Okay, so on the tail end, this video I did off of seeing that, and then we just seen. Let me read this statement first. In the wake of several wrongful convictions, the stories coming to light, like such as Julius Jones, the Groveland Four, and Kevin Strickland, all being exonerated, like within the last what 2 weeks. Why is it so many wrongful convictions? Well, I happen to know there's way more. I am part of many communities on Facebook just filled with people with wrongful convictions. So, but most people's story does not reach the media. So, but to see three big stories within a short period of time reach the media and to read all the comments like, how could this happen? How could anybody do this? And all of that stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you why. I got 11 reasons, girl, why wrongful convictions happen and why they stand. Why? Yes. So let's get straight into it. So, number one, many wrongful convictions are a result from pleas, which are plea bargains, placing one person against another. Okay, so many of them result in a plea. So when a crime happened or an alleged crime, because not all crimes that they got on paper actually happened, such as my husband's, but we gonna leave him, we just gonna touch him a little bit. We ain't gonna just, only talk about him. But they come from plea bargains. Many times when a crime or an alleged crime happens, if there is more than one suspect, they're going to put one against the other. And it's basically whoever gives them what they want to hear first is going to get the sweetest of the deal, whether they are the one that committed that crime or alleged crime or not. Whoever is willing to work with them, whoever is willing to give up information is going to get the best deal, even if they are the one that actually committed the crime or had the biggest part of the crime. So they play one against the other. This is a known game. Anybody that knows the system knows that that's what they do. They just want somebody to speak. When they have a crime, baby, it's not like they really care who did the crime. They just need to seal that crime up. They can't have all these open investigations, though they do have a lot of unsolved mysteries, but most times they want to, close it up. They just want to close the file, which means that the people are really not getting justice. Like whoever the crime was committed against, most times they're not really getting true. It's gonna keep doing that. Most times they're not really getting true justice because the investigators are just trying to close the crime. So you may actually get the person that committed the crime against you, or you may not. You're just getting somebody that's going to take the fall for that. And they know that. And it really doesn't matter who did it. It's just somebody has to pay. We don't care who's going to pay, but somebody got to pay. And usually it's going to be whoever speaks first. When you're arrested, they're going to question you. If you're acting like you don't have no words for them, you're not going to speak. They're going to go to the other person. That person speak. They're going to get a deal. And that's how it goes. Or they can offer both of you guys a deal, basically. Like in my husband's case, he was picked up and they offered him a 17-year plea bargain. And the 17 years basically was to admit that you did this crime, which my husband kept saying, I didn't do anything. I cannot take 17 years for something I didn't do. And the public defender basically was like, look, say I was your doctor and you had a cancer in your arm and I didn't tell you, and that cancer spread and you ultimately died. And he was like, would I be a good doctor? He was saying basically, look, you have a 5% chance of winning trial. He said, you need to take the plea. I'm basically telling you to cut your arm off so that you can live. So basically take the 17 years so that one day you can be free, which now we're looking back, and my husband was so adamant on not taking that 17 years because he didn't commit a crime. But I just wish he had took it. Both of us, my husband who's wrongfully convicted, and myself, wish he had just took that 17-year plea bargain, because with 17 years, he would have only had to do 85. I was trying to say 65. Most regular states have 65%, but Florida feels like everyone should do 85% of their long dinosaur like sentences that they hand out. So you should do 85% of it, but 85% of 17 would have been about 15 years ish, which means I'm coming up on 20 years of my husband being wrongfully convicted, and my husband is coming up on 20 years of being incarcerated wrongfully for 20 years. So which one would you rather? To give up 15 years of your life wrongfully, or give up 20 years and possibly 17 more before your wrongful conviction ends, which will be in year 2039, if we're still around. So we wish he had just took the plea, but he was only 19, 20 by the time he went to trial. So he really wasn't well versed in how the system really works. But a lot of wrongful convictions stem from plea bargains. Okay, so number two, trials are fixed. They're not fair and not at all take place to come to a resolution of justice. They are just like plays, scenes that are acted out just to say that the person received their quote unquote fair trial before a jury of their peers. Trials are fixed. How in the world did this lawyer tell us before the trial that my husband was going to lose? How did he say you have about a 5% chance of winning? Well, that's because they know how these trials go. And the thing with my husband's case, there was no evidence against him. They charged him with a weapon and they produced no weapon. There is no weapon. The weapon is hearsay. They have no fingerprints on my husband. They have no DNA. They have nothing, no tangible evidence, nothing that links my husband to this crime that never really even happened. But they have nothing. And they don't even have the second person that they claimed that perpetrated the crime. They only got one person that they claimed perpetrated the crime. The other, they said, ran and got away and never was nothing. And they had nothing on him. So how are you so sure that he's going to lose this trial if the trial was fair? And we pleaded all of this, all the things that were wrong in front of 12 people that are supposed to be fair minded, supposed to be non biased, non racist. How do you say that you're going to be convicted? That's because they're already decided. They decide on these trials before you even set the trial. And the thing is, once you go to trial, and if you lose, baby, they throwing the book at you. They are they finna hit you way worse than what they would have hit you. So trials are a big deal, but they're actually set up. They're not fair at all. And good luck getting a fair trial. I am going to tell you the only way to get the best trial, the best fairest trial. This can't. I keep knocking it. I'm so sorry for the little clicking or whatever. But the best way to get the fairest trial, you have to get the best lawyer that you can afford. You're basically going to have to sell your house, your cars, and many people do this, like to get legal assistance. You're going to have to come together, sell all of your assets, and basically be in financial ruin unless you have a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, you have nothing to worry about. But that's really the only way for you to come out of a trial on top. You cannot, most likely, you're not going to be able to go with that public defender. You're going, if you, all you have from personal experience, and I am not advising you legally, I'm just telling you from our experience. So don't just go do this because, I said to do it. Just take it into account. But, do whatever your heart feels, whatever your lawyer's telling you to do that. But I'm telling you, from us, don't go to trial with a public defender. If our husband, if my husband had went to trial with a paid lawyer, most likely he never would have did not one day in prison. Okay, and I will get back to that issue in another number coming down. Okay. So number 3, freedom. Oh, I'm sorry. First, before I move on to number 3, trial before their peers. It is really not a trial before your peers. Like Marcello's jury was, and I'm not trying to, it's like you don't always want to bring race up, but it's clearly a race issue. It really is. But I'm not saying that other nationalities don't get wrongfully convicted. I really think beyond just focusing on black and white and black people not really having a fair trial or minorities, it's the poor. They target the poor people. So you can be of other nationalities and be wrongfully convicted, but they mostly focus in on poor people. And a lot of our communities happen to be poor. I'm not saying all of them are, but a lot of them don't have all these thousands laying around like stacks on stacks on stacks for legal. Okay, so number 3, freedom is not free. Without the funds to pay for a great lawyer, you will likely be railroaded. Yes. People always tell you, oh, wait. Let me do that part first because this is a 2-part on number 3. Okay, freedom is not free, baby. Lawyers cost. That free lawyer that's provided to you, I will get back to that. But baby, don't depend on that. And if you are going to depend on that public defender, you have to sit on their tail. You have got to sit on their tail. You have got to make them work for you because they are not going to work for you. They're working for them. Marcello's public defender, my husband, Marcello Jackson, his public defender, actually his only sole purpose was to get Marcello to take the plea bargain, which is crazy because he was supposed to be defending Marcello. He never worked on any type of defense. Only thing, every time we would meet with him, all he was saying was basically, are you going to take the 17 years plea? Are you going to take the 17 years plea? Are you going to take the 17 years plea? And basically, had he not did anything, because he is basically the reason why Marcello was convicted. Because crazy thing, the people that this so-called crime happened against would not show up to court. So when trial came, nobody showed up and there was nobody to press charges against Marcello. So instead of the judge dropping it, because that's what they were supposed to do, nobody showed up to court. The judge continued the case, and Marcello's own public defender said, hey, so we were the only ones that showed up, me and my husband. And after hours, just sitting there in the lobby waiting to go into court, they said, okay, so court's not going to take place today. Really, we are supposed to let you go because nobody showed up. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to continue the case. And your lawyer, is going to go out of town to see if I can get the guys to come to court, because the guys that allegedly this crime happened against, after it happened, they moved to 2 separate, complete different states. And my husband's own public defender petitioned the court for funds to go out of town to 2 different states to subpoena in person each of the quote unquote victims. Now, get this part. When the victims were living, quote unquote victims, were living here in Orlando, they rejected 3 subpoenas apiece to show up to court, to show up to be questioned. They rejected them, reject. And they did not show up to the first trial. I have those subpoenas, rejected. Yes. It wasn't until Marcello's own public defender asked for money from the court to travel to 2 different states to subpoena the people in person did they come to court. And when they did come to court, they had 2 completely different stories. They were caught in lie after lie on the witness stand. And still my husband is convicted. Now you tell me that ain't a setup. That's not a play taking place that we're calling a trial. So the lawyer, I'm telling you, freedom ain't free. It's not. You're going to pay a hefty price for freedom. And then this was the second part of that. People always tell you that there are lawyers that take cases pro bono. When I have problems and I'm crying out for help, they're like, "Oh, there's lawyers that take pro bono cases." Baby, where the hell are these lawyers at? Because I have been looking for them for 20 years. I have never come across a criminal lawyer that takes pro bono cases. Now, I ain't saying they don't exist. If they exist, please show yourself because I need your help. But every lawyer I have talked to got their hand out. Thousands, please. Thousands. And I can possibly help him. Thousands. Do it look like I got thousands? I don't. But this what I get. I don't get no pro bono. Pro no. That's what I get. Pro no go. Nothing. Money please, stacks first, then we talk. That's how it goes. And they always want to tell you about these pro bono lawyers. Like, where they at? Pro bono lawyers are usually for issues that may be family court, different civil cases, but not too many criminal lawyers are out there doing pro bono work. Not a lot of them. It is hard to find them. And people always tell you that like that's a solution. Baby, I've been looking for them. Lawyers tell you, get me this many thousand first, and I'll see what I can do. And there are no promises. They'll always tell you that. We have no promises. So you can be getting those thousands and basically nothing happen. And then also, they will tell you to reach out to the Innocence Project. They have places that you can go. Go to the Innocence Project. Baby, I've been to the Innocence Project. Innocence Project is a big, I don't know if I call them an organization, company, more like an organization that does fight wrongful convictions. But baby, they have too many people inquiring to them. I contacted the Innocence Project and they told me and my husband, you can write us to submit your case. Do not write to follow up because we are fighting too many cases. So if we don't answer you back, that means we didn't take your case. We don't have time. We don't have enough people. So getting the Innocence Project to take your case would be like winning the lottery. It happens far and few in between, which I know they do cases all the time. And I'm not trying to down the Innocence Project. At least they're doing something. They're freeing somebody. But it's too many wrongfully convicted people and people that are over sentenced. A wrongful conviction is also when you did one crime and they far surpassed and over punished you. That's also wrongful. But there's too many and there's not enough people to fight it. So good luck with the Innocence Project. We have not gotten nowhere, with that route. And then they'll also tell you, Kim Kardashian, you need to reach out to her. Like, number one, do I know her? Like, do I know anybody that knows her? Like, how we get in touch with Kim Kardashian? How? Can you tell me? How do we get in touch with Kim Kardashian? Because, baby, if it was that easy, your girl would have did it already. But number one, Kim Kardashian also is just one person. And many people are reaching out to her. How many cases do you think she takes out of that big, huge amount of people that are writing her daily? Do you even think she can read through, or even her and her staff read through all the many letters she's receiving? So good luck with that as well, because I haven't had luck with that as well. So I'm telling you, people give you all these, there's solutions for your problem. Like, girl, that's like my solution in life being to win the lottery. That would be how logical that is. It's going to happen only for few. So somebody does win the lottery, but not everybody does. Okay, so I have another part part of number three. Number three, I had like a lot of thoughts on that. People naively think it's places that you can go for help, such as the NAACP. Okay, I said that, and we know that Marcello got more time and was railroaded because he was black. Even our public defender said that. After I after hearing he lost the trial, how? But after hearing that he lost the trial, I was put out of the courtroom because the judge, I was crying and I couldn't hold it in. I'm like I wouldn't even cry loud. I was just like whimpering, and you can't hold your emotions when you see your loved one, basically life being taken in front of your eyes. You can't hold your composure. So the judge told me, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court if you can't be quiet. So I ran out of the courtroom and I laid in the street in front of the courtroom. I didn't care what was finna happen to me. I lost my best friend, my husband, the father of my child, my 9-month-old child, that day. So it really, to me, I was not thinking clearly or anything. So it wasn't until I seen his public defender walk out the courtroom that I got up out the street. And when I walked up to him, before I can even say anything to him, he addressed me first. He said, "You know why he got convicted?" I said, "Yeah, because he was black." And he said, "Yeah, really, that's the only reason." He said, now you're going to have to get a lawyer that will fight for his life. You're going to have to get an appeal. And he downright admitted it. And even once I contacted him 11 years later, because he was like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll only do about 10 years. I contacted him back 11 years later. And I was explaining who I was and my husband. And he said, "I'll never forget your case." He said, "Your case is the reason why," not your case. It feels like my case because I'm tied into it. I went to prison with my husband wrongfully. But he said, your husband's case is the reason why I stopped doing that type of law in the first place. He said, "I quit that because all they were doing were railroading black men through the system. And I could no longer be a part of that." And he closed the situation with saying, "Just hope that the laws in Florida change," which I've been hoping and holding my breath for another 10 years because our laws ain't changed. It's like they set in stone. And though I fight, we go to all types of the meetings and stuff, delegation meetings. We plead, we cry in front of them. We tell our stories of injustice, and it affects basically nothing. None of these laws change, such as the going from 85% to 65%, such as bringing back parole to the state of Florida. Things that other states have to alleviate their prison system, our injustice system, our state doesn't have it and don't want it. They don't want it. They reject it. They refuse it. So I'm still holding my breath. Okay. And then they also tell you, so there's places that they think that you can go for help, such as the NAACP. So that's how I got off on that rant. I contacted the NAACP, my local branch, and they told me we don't fight issues like that. We don't fight anything criminal. We only fight like civil stuff. Huh? Like when they're locking us up, and that's against our civil rights to be just taking us from our families, but they don't fight issues like that. As well, the ACLU, contacted them before. At the time, the head of the ACLU chapter here in Orlando told us that I submitted my husband's case, and they were saying that Actually, I'll link in the description box. I had painted him. I have something called Project Reach the World. I am a legally blind artist and a rapper that has made so many songs and paintings, painting everybody to try to spread the story of my husband being wrongfully convicted. So I painted him. I'll put that in the description box, and sent it to him along with my husband's story. And he was like, yeah, it seems like he was done wrong. Like a lot of injustice happened, but it's been too long. It's nothing. The time has run out. It's nothing you can do, really. But he said at first he was like, well, let me see. Maybe it's one person. He had to reach out to somebody. But when he got back to me, of course, it's always, oh, sorry, we can't help you. But he was like, the only thing that can help your husband is to get his story big in the media. That's the only thing that's going to help him. Which from that day, really from before that day, I have been trying to do that. It's been 20 years. Me alone screaming that my husband is wrongfully convicted. Now it's to the point where I've been saying it so long that people are tuning me out. They don't want to hear it, not another time. Nobody wants to hear it. And to be honest, I don't want to keep saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it until he's free. Like, I don't know. And until I'm free, because I'm bound by this wrongful conviction as well. And due to it, that 9-month-old that I told you just turned 20 years old. He missed her whole life. And he missed her whole life. And he has 17 more years to go. Okay. So now we're on, oh shoot, I gotta move this along because we only on number 3 still, girl. Number 3 was long. Okay, so number 4. Most citizens who really should be outraged are actually oblivious to the fact that wrongful convictions actually happen. Wrongful, the word wrongful implies that it must be a mistake. And it's not a mistake. These wrongful convictions, they're doing on purpose. They're purposeful convictions. It's too much willing and dealing and manipulating with the way it's supposed to be, that there's no way to come to a fair conclusion. You're changing too many things to come up with a fair verdict, which verdict means truth. They're not really trying to come up to the truth because they're moving too many things. Like, if you really wanted the truth, you would leave it alone and let it play out the way it's supposed to, but they don't. So they don't really want the truth. They want to win. They just want the win. Okay,